Hello, everyone. This is my great honor to welcome you all in today's session, which is titled Content is the King, but their wardrobes have really changed. When it comes to consuming content on the internet, today consumers hop from device to device and channel to channel. Hence, it has become much more imperative for brands and their content to follow the consumers in the real time and engage with them and eventually win them over. The demands of the content needs the businesses to break the barriers of channels and devices to be truly democratic in the truest sense of the term. In today's session, we will learn from experts how to author channel agnostic content for both traditional and headless content delivery, and how brands and businesses can ensure that their content is truly omnipresent. Without wasting much time, I would like to welcome Sri Ravinder Pandey, Deputy Managing Director and CIO at the State Bank of India, on a fireside chat with Mr. Vishak Venugopalan, Head Solutions Consulting at Adobe India. Welcome, gentlemen, and it's a great pleasure to have you all on board. In this session, we will try to understand SBI's perspective on how they are going towards feeding the content beast. So welcome, gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to have you on board.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Satrajit.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So I'll start with Sri Pandey first, and SBI is a big conglomerate, right? And we all know that State Bank of India currently has over 42 million customers across India, and this number is just growing as we speak. It keeps on growing day by day. So how does SBI as an entity and as a business entity ensure that their content is omnipresent, and they are ensuring that they're creating that omnipresent content and reaching to their customers in a in an effective manner? Over to you, Mr. Pandey.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good day to all of you. First of all, let me get the numbers right. Our customer base is 46 crores. So probably a zero needs to be added.
Right.
This is based on our annual financial report 2021. In fact, if you see, 93% of our transactions are through alternate channel, and out of the 60% of transactions are through the digital channel. Obviously, the UPI has a major role to play into that. In today's hyper-connected and the hyper-accelerated world, the challenges for organization is to own a part of the customer mind space. The only way to do is to provide a consistent and the positive experience of the customer across every touch point. Content is the cornerstone of delivering such experiences and increasing the instances of the customer delight. As you're aware, State Bank of India has present across length and breadth of the country. You would have heard in the newspaper, our chairman has just opened an ATM, which is the highest ATM in the world at Leh, much higher than Leh. So, with this type of geographical reach, serving across the customer segment, it's a real challenge for us how to create a content, give the content across the channel. So the inherent strength, of the brand of SBI is also become a challenge to us in this area. How to deliver a consistent, content and message across channels and customer touchpoints. If you see, in any content creation, we basically manages our core values of SBI, which we do as STEPS, steps in a short. It stands for service, transparency, ethics, politeness, and sustainability. Now, these steps are the basic guidelines and the ethos of our organization for all our content management in any form, media. We are not only digital, we are media also. We serve to the Bharat also, in addition to India. So therefore, our marketing and communication department, they vet each of the content message with this in light, and the individual departments also they ensure. Just for information, in 2017, SBI has created a user experience design center. So, in today's world, it is very difficult to bifurcate where media communication starts and IT ends, or where IT starts with media communication. It's absolutely juxtaposed to each other. So in 2017, we created a user experience design center, and as I understand, this is one of its kind in the banking industry. It has become a principal agent for the bank in creating the design standardization across banks' digital applications, whether internal and external. Mind it, we have 265,000 internal customers, are my own employees. Then we also created some sort of a principal design outlines, communication messages. And one thing you need to understand that for us, it's not only the content into various channels, but also the language. That is also a fundamental issue. And second thing in the IT world is content should not be like a carpet bombing. It should be precise, hyper localized for you. We use our customer relationship management program tool, which we call it as CRM. If you see on a very broad principle level, for a content experience, just follow these basics experience. Content is to be made available whenever a customer interacts with the brand. Designing componentized content for reuse across multiple deliverables. Most important, AI-driven customer segmentation for personalized journey and personalized content. AI-based automatic recognition to provide context-based information to the right people at the right moment at the right time. And most important, how to map the content to the customer journey. Now, the content is designed to guide and serve both prospective customers, new to the bank, and existing customers alike. So, therefore, the content management is become a very important tool. If you see the AI applications passes through a common quality gate for function and security testing. If you see in any of our SMSs, web messages, we never give the bit.ly. Not because it has become a tool for tool used by the cyber security, by the fraudster. So these are, if you see that Twitter and all, we continuously make our content available to the consumer, our consumer and public at large.
Right, sir. I mean, you have set the context very well, right? With a vast user base that you mentioned, it's much more imperative to, create hyper localized content and, reach your consumers in a meaningful way. So we'll obviously, touch upon all these points as we go along. But I would like to come to Vishak, at this point of time and understand from your experience, Vishak, right? And you have been working with various businesses and various brands and consulting them and helping them out in their content journey. How have you seen the vast successful consumer facing brands go about planning their omnipresent content and and creating a omnipresent content strategy?
Yeah, thanks, Satyajit. And I couldn't have asked for a better opening from Pandey, the respectful PDMD Pandey sir, about the importance of content within his own organization, right? Yeah, absolutely, right. And I would like to dovetail that to the question that you actually asked, right? How other organizations can actually learn from this particular success and stuff like that. Right? So in my experience, right, one thing, the fundamental thing which people sort of completely undermines or completely deprioritize is the content strategy itself, right? Organizations have data strategy, they have AI strategy, they have experience strategy, but very few actually have a content strategy as such, right? The thing is, all customer experiences are built on content, right? Pandit talked about the SMS also, which is actually a piece of content, and the experience SBI kind of delivers, right? But unfortunately, the content aspect is not very well managed. They are just used and reused and abused, right? If we can say it, right? So the thing is, customer sees only one brand, right? So of your brand, right? But it's organization who has all these complete departments and systems and different channels and stuff like that. For the customer, it doesn't matter. He sees one brand, whether it is an SMS they are reading or an email they are opening or a push notification image they are actually looking at, or the image that they see on their website, or the hoarding that they see. All for them, it's just one brand. But internally, it is, there's a lot of silos and systems that are actually in there. And unless you have a horizontal layer within the organization for your content strategy. What is a content strategy? Content strategy is very simple. You should have a strategy to create and produce awesome content. You should have a strategy to manage them very effectively so that your reusability increases. And you should have a measure and monetize strategy for the content as well. But all of this has to be, in my opinion, a horizontal layer in an organization so that no matter which team, internal, external, customer facing, employee experience, mobile application, communications, outbound, inbound, out of home media, doesn't matter which team, but all of them have one single repository of content to look back into so that the strategy is streamlined to begin with. That is where organizations should think of having a defined content strategy to start with. I can say something.
Great, great input, Vishal. Thank you so much. I'll move on to and I'll take a cue from Pandey sir's, initial remarks on hyperlocal, and I'll put this question back to Pandey sir on how SBI, as a brand which is catering to customers across India, right? How is language and hyperlocal content more important, and how are they strategizing it? How is SBI strategizing it?
See, actually, if you look at that, why the content standardization is very easy to manage. I mean, it's not a big game. What is the big game is how to make the content known and understood and absorbed by the consumer. Okay. Then it's not only the regional languages. It is basically the regional sensitivity also needs to be factored in. Content strategy, the content does not mean that you have decided that, let us say 14th of one day. It will be across channel. We have the capability, we have Tamil, Telugu, any language, 14, 16 languages will be published. But timing is what is important. Maybe a content, a particular message in particular region may be appreciated, but a particular content in a particular region may not be appreciated. Like say Vaisakhi. If you publicize Vaisakhi as a content in down south, instead of a Onam or instead of somebody, it's Pongal. It is absolutely waste. You publicize Gudi Parva in north. What is this? So it is what I call it is beyond content standardization, content management. That is important, and the regional sensibility, the local cultures fits into, and whosoever is the content provider or whosoever is the person responsible for the making content should look beyond content. Actually, in the today's world, like I say, now I'm the head of the global IT of the bank. So first of all, I don't know why I've been called here in this content. But still, okay, the issue is that how can I communicate, and how as an IT head I communicate the content message. See, if you see our mobile apps, whether it is Uno Live, they're in literally all 15 regional languages. Major India has much more than that, but major regional languages they are in. It's not a exact replication or a dictionary translation of an English or Hindi. No, it is being primarily written in the local language, not translated. So there is a difference between a translation and written in the local language. So this is one thing. Even if you say ATMs, you will find various screens coming up. And how you do it? See, technologically, it is very difficult, saying very easy that all ATMs, if it is in Kerala, it should come in Malayalam. If it is in Tamil Nadu, it's come in Tamil. Saying is easy. But creating an IT infrastructure is more important. So I think 5-6 years back in ATM, we ran on a multi-vendor software here, and we have the software in that. That software has this capability that based on the PIN code, that is geotagging, my ATM can be configured message. That's the important. And what is, there are few of you. I mean, what is more important is going forward. The future of content is how can I further hyper personalize it in a GSI? Suppose it's a Muharram. Can you promote basically a festive look during a Muharram in a 100% Muslim populated area? It will boomerang on your brand. So the next step for all, I mean, as a banker, we had responsibility, but probably for pure BFSI sector or for any sector, this is also important. How can I make a hyper localized content? And to make a hyper localized content, you need to have a necessary IT backup.
Right, sir. Beautiful, beautiful anecdotes actually. You have beautifully shown the convergence of IT and content, right? Content is not just creation of content, and there is a huge IT infrastructure that works behind making it successful. On that note, I'll come to Vishak and understand. So we heard about how SBI is looking at going beyond content and creating regional experiences for their regional customers, right? So out of your experiences, how do you see businesses in India today taking up this, right? And how important it is for any business across verticals to cater to that regional psyche and regional sentiment of people?
Yeah, sure. Bharat is very real, and Pandey sir has beautifully put this right. And I would like to add to that, which is content is king, which is what Gautam has said. But the context is the senapati, right? That's the strategist, right? So combined with the content and context is what that hyper local experiences, delightful experiences are created. Now, Pandita touched upon a very important aspect, which is it's easier said than done, right? The technology behind it is mind boggling, right? So in terms of managing all that stuff, in terms of understanding the channel, see, the experience starts with how fast your app loads, right? So I can have the best of the content, but the technology behind to actually make the content and context work together is fascinating, right? Now, coming to the hyper local aspect, right? One thing that we've had the privilege to actually work with multiple brands, be it manufacturing, BFSI, CPG, you name it, in India. I'll give you a very interesting example about this particular hyper localization and the problem it actually problem for us to actually solve. It actually put forward, right? I'll give you a very simple example. This organization is a manufacturing organization. They have 45 products, only 45 products. That's it, right? Now, the interesting aspect is, of course, they sell it to via their retailers, B2B selling and stuff like that. And they have on an average about 25 assets per product, right? Per product, 25 assets, right? Now, that itself is about 1,120 assets, right? In total, right? 25 assets for 45 products. Now, the complexity starts from now. They have 15 market region where they need to actually position this particular product, right? Within India and also externally. That number just explodes into 16,000 assets or pieces of content. Remember, we are still at the same 45 products, right? Now, multiply that with 5 channels, which is nothing but my print, my website, my Facebook, my email. There we have close to 100,000 pieces of content right there, right? For this, remember, we just started with just 45 products as much, right? So the thing is, as Pandit sir said, it's not just dictionary and mapping and normal rules. Those days are actually over, right? What you need is a technological heavy lifting to make sure that the production is also technologically supported, the management is also technologically amplified, and the distribution, that's where that last millisecond of context comes in. I may belong to Kerala, but I may be living in another state for whatever 20 years or whatever that is, right? So the context is that it has to be mixed into that content at the last millisecond. That's where technology comes into place, and these are the details organization should be taking care of, because the consumer has moved on and they expect much better things and experiences from you. Right? So That's what I would like to say.
Right, great inputs, Vishai, actually, and this leads me to my next question, which is to Pandey sir about so Vishak mentioned about social media and various other platforms, right? And for SBI being on social media is imperative, and they are doing a very good job of it, right? But I would want to go beyond a step beyond social media and look into the new forms of technologies and new forms of platforms that consumers are using nowadays. Connected TVs, connected houses, connected homes, basically, right? Audio platforms. So these are the new age kind of platforms that are being used by a lot of consumers. And I'm sure SBI as a brand should, I'm sure they are strategizing something around how to reach and how to basically engage with those consumers on those platforms. So Pandey sir, your take on that.
Thank you, Mr. Sain. Actually, just few numbers. I will read it out. Facebook, 18.6 million followers, most followed bank globally. Uh, Twitter, 4.25 million plus followers, most followed bank globally. Then the LinkedIn, 1.99 million followers, most followed bank in India. Then other, YouTube, 3.67 lakh follower subscribers, 453 million videos views since inception. Pinterest, 6,000 odd, follower. Instagram, 2.05 million followers. These are just the numbers. In fact, I fully agree with you, Mr. Sain, being the head of the IT of the bank. Going forward, Twitter, Facebook will be subsumed by the IoT. Why the hell I should go on a Twitter to see a message? Why not my Alexa, my Google, my laptop? My driving car tells me, look, there is a problem. And ultimately, they are all information sharing. Ultimately, at the end of it, they are information sharing platforms. Why do not the car tells me I'm driving from, let's say, from Pedder Road to Santa Cruz in Mumbai? They say, look, fine, underpass. There is an flooding because of the rains. So that is going to be the in future. Now, in terms of the IT strategy of the bank, here I will try to say the content disseminate for the brand, because ultimately, what is the content? What is the ultimate aim of my content? Is one, I should be seen as a socially responsible corporate citizen, should be able to voice the correct things of the national interest. If you see our latest Twitter handles and all, we talk of heroism, we talk of environment. And then we are also able to connect with my customer in terms of the products. How we will do it? It's $1 million question. There are several steps we are taking into this. Before doing it, I need to integrate the systems in the bank, because ultimately, you can create an app, you can create a layer, but you can't create a data. Data have to be consumed in an intelligent fashion. So therefore, in fact, in my opening remarks, I talked about the CRM. Now, CRM is a platform which will capture the data for a customer. Now, imagine my earlier example for a vet. If I'm sending to a truck driver, he will laugh at me. He say, what this content was? I'm driving a truck at 4 o'clock, Bombay, no entry. He's saying that there is a there is a water logging in the underpass. I'm the customer. I'm right now in Delhi. My account maybe at Mumbai, and I something like this. So that is what is IoT will come into play. Primarily a play of various moving parts. It's not one. See, right now what we see various parts into a singular disjointed fashion. Going forward, ultimately IoT is a absolutely fast moving parts, where one part affects other. The moment one part affects, your strategy changes, your content changes. It's very, very dynamic. So that is what a user hyper personalization, hyper localization. Beyond that, same content for you, it's a different. For you, it's a different time horizon is different. So I think this is going to be the major challenge for all the consumer facing organization, be it a bank, be it FSNG or whatever we call it. So this is how we are, this consumption generation of use volume of data, coupled with increasing dependence on the database basis. That is going to be the key factor, as earlier noted, in the Internet of Things dominance over the content creation. See, going forward, again, content will become a platform. IoT, that will become a messaging. If you see the transition over a period of time, the thing which was the front facing has become a platform. It has become a commodity. I think I don't foresee times far away when Twitter all become a commodity and something else will come. Why should I look at all the content in a Twitter which does not relate to me?
Correct.
Maybe that's my take on this. So going forward, it's a very, say for example, we launch the Titan Pay Watch on the separate segment. I think we are the first bank who has launched a real wearable, not that band and all. It's a watch. Titan and SBI, we joined hands together to launch. It's a very select group of customers. It's not that, again, my figures here on millions. So it's not required. It will be few thousand. Going forward, I think we're trying with the Fitbits, things like this. So that is how going forward this process will move.
Right. Great anecdotes, sir, again. So Vishak, I would want to understand, your perspective, and again, from your experience of working with and partnering with brands, right? How are Indian brands looking at IoT, as Pandey sir mentioned, right? And, as the numbers increase, as the consumption increase, as the usage of IoT increase, how important it has become.
Yeah, absolutely, right. So as Pandey sir mentioned, right, it's going to be commoditized, right? So yes, today it's 10,000. Just wait, for it to actually become a billion. By the way, you don't have to wait more than blink of an eye. It's going to actually explode very soon, right? So we have had a tremendous pleasure in working with manufacturers, right, themselves in embedding such IoT technologies and experiences right into the IoTs. For example, we work with automobile manufacturer who actually gives this real-time, content experiences in their car or vehicle, whether it's a truck or a car or a commercial vehicle, doesn't matter, delivering their experiences at the last millisecond, right? So we have experiences in working with, people like who manufacture internet connected home appliances such as water purifiers and water heaters, where again the context based, based on how the temperature is in those particular areas, how smartly it can turn on and off and provide content to actually kind of reduce their consumption and stuff like that, right? One thing behind the scene, of course, the fact of the matter is new channels are going to come at us, right? As organization, new channels are going to come at us like every now and then, right? What we need to be ready for, what we need to be ready with is, I call it this concept of core, right? I call it core. Core is nothing but create once, reuse everywhere, right? Just create it once, no matter if it is a website, if it's a smartwatch, it's Twitter, it's Facebook, it's a tiny display of a LCD display of an IoT or push notification, doesn't matter. Have the core ready, create once and reuse every single where possible, for which you should be really agile itself. I'll give you a very simple example, right? Why do brands still use Twitter and Facebook for quick updates, saying that, hey, it's a quick update? Because whether you like it or not, it's simple. Log in, type in, press, go, it goes, right? Why can't I have the same agility to do that? Login, publish, go, my website is updated, my app is updated, my statement is now printed, that is the level of agility that organizations require to cope up and core with these new channels which keeps on coming at us, right? IoT, XR is another upcoming channel in India. We already have seen virtual branches open up, and people visiting it using XR, extended reality systems and stuff like that. Content channels are going to explode, and consumers will run their way. It is our responsibility to be ready with the core that they need. That's what I would say.
That's a great anecdote, Vishak. Core. So you spoke about creation, right? And this actually connects me to my next question. And I would like to, come to Pandey sir and understand better on this. So creation of content, right? So we always know of the traditional way of creating content and writing that content. But nowadays, businesses and brands are investing heavily into AI made content, right? You have artificial intelligence who is writing that content for you. So Pandya sir, as a leading brand in India, how do you see? I mean, we spoke about usage of IoT from the consumer's point of view, but from a business point of view, how do you see usage of AI increasing in creation of content?
Good question. Actually, again, I say going forward, it is IT, it is analytics, which is going to lead our every step. See, we have an analytical department which acts as a centralized center of excellence, constantly pioneering the AI, that is artificial intelligence and the machine learning techniques, and assisting departments across the bank with various artificial intelligence models analysis. By measuring, we measure and track the customer metadata and use it as an input into our AI models. Based on that, the insight which is generated is used for development of a new product, customize digital interaction, and improve efficiency. We are, if you give you few examples, let us say expansion of business by identifying the customer propensity. This is one area of our, these are the actions. To do it, we create a content. The content is not created out of thin air. First, you create a business case, then only a content will come. Content is a manifestation or articulation of what we wanted to communicate with the general public. So there's an expansion of business by identifying, customer propensities. We had various business models, analytical models, whereby NTB, that is the new to the bank customer profiles, are identified by the acquisition. We make a customer segmentation, salaried, non-salaried, pensioners, for a specific set of customer to create a specific set of contents for them. Customer retention model, current account churn model. There are various ways we drive this. Sometimes we do conduct the ROI driven campaigns to generate product leads. Various car loan, home loan, they are very, very simple product leads. So these are the way we use the IT infrastructure, the analytical engine, the various AI ML embedded into it to create a customer proposition and to manifest and articulate the customer proposition to communicate a content is created. So at least I feel the trail is like this. Any content is messaging. Any messaging without a background, it's no use. Any messaging without the capability to deliver, again, is only a content of no meaning. Because one of the major reasons of the content management is to ensure that what are we communicating to the customer through the content is on reality, can be delivered at the ground. So these two things has to gone are the days where you issue a paper advertisement, 10% people see, even if the product is not available, they are okay, it is not. But now those days are gone. So if you create the front line, the back has to be properly stacked. So the content, again I repeat, content is the front end where all the back engines are ready, fire, ready to go. So that is I will say how we use this latest technology to create content.
Right. That's a great anecdote, actually, sir. I mean, it just emphasizes the importance of content as the front end. Like, all the technology, everything is there to help it, reach the masses. But creation of content is the main objective and main thing that brands should, focus on. So Vishak, what's your take on, on this, AI intervention in creating
Yeah.
content? Anderson mentioned about, content creation being the main focus for businesses, right? Your take
Yeah,
on
true. Panisar put it beautifully, right? So gone are the days where there is no use of having produced a content which is like, hey, I have 1 TB of content. What's the use of it unless and until I deliver the content to all my customers in 1 minute, right? So, content, data, AI, all these are the same coin, but just, from different sides as such, if I can say, right? I'll give a very simple example of this, right? So, this is one of our customers whom we work with. They had humongous amount of content produced over the years, right? Textual, imagerial, and stuff that in nature, right? Adobe came in to actually help them to do something in which we analyzed, we know images very well, thanks to Photoshop, as you know. We analyzed all of their 20-year worth images. This includes photographs taken on cell phones, to newspaper cuttings, to produced assets by agencies, everything, right? So it's in TVs of content, right? We looked at all automatically. The AI looked at all these assets, right? In actually the entire assets, the terabytes worth of assets were looked in just about 2 hours, right? And we came out with automatic detection of that logo, what is there within that particular picture, tag that automatically using natural languages and stuff like that. So today, that brand can search for any asset saying that, show me the logo from year 1965, right? Show me a logo where the MD is actually so and so forth, right? Show me, get me a product description in just 20 words. Even though the original description was 100 words, AI has actually summarized it to actually make it 20 words, which I can put it in a tweet or send us an SMS and stuff like that, right? So the advent of AI has enabled us to sort of amplify already produced assets, right, and get more juice out of it, right? So that's what we have seen in this particular industry, right? Imagine the value of this is tremendous, because I'm not spending more and more to actually create stuff every now and then, running into producers, and of course that's copywriting and all those aspects, which is a huge investment. How can AI sit on my existing base and give us suggestions? And of course, you can't take it as is, but actually helps in my particular process about 70%, so that you can actually now take the final decision to actually go ahead and say, okay, now you are actually good to go, good to use it and stuff like that, right? So the technology has come in a long way. To be frank, we were surprised on what AI learned from all those images and textual content about that particular brand. It also predicted things like, hey, you know what, if you use these words in your email, your emails will have better open rates. More people will use your emails as such, right? Open your email. So it's tremendous to see advancements happening, and it's tremendous to see how you can reutilize your assets with the help of AI, rather than actually investing a lot in reproduction and then drowning in that particular amount of content, right? So data and content are the two sides of the same coin. One last example, right? This is again, there used to be this fights of, ये अच्छा लग रहा है, नहीं ये इससे भी अच्छा है, this image is better, that image is better. Gone are the days. The data can tell you which image your customers like from a particular section and automatically show that to you, rather than I call it, anybody internally biased people taking that particular decision, right? So data can also tell you what is working, what's not is working, which you can automate to a certain extent as well, right? So that's what I would like to say. AI and ML are here. It is practically applicable, and it's all a matter of exploration and aligning to our larger vision.
Great. And if I may just add, so AI and ML in creation of content is an amplifier. There would be still, human intervention needed, right?
100%. 100%.
Great, great, great. So, as we move towards the end of this, intriguing chat, I would like to go to, Mr. Pandey, and understand as a overall, SBI point of view and a business point of view, how is SBI as a business entity looking to implement actionable insights on their content, and that ensures better ROI for the brand SBI at an overall level.
See, basically, in fact, in my first opening also, I just articulated very clearly.
Right.
It will basically stands on two fundamental principles. One is STEPS, that is transparency, sustainability. This is one fundamental. And the second fundamental is AIML, that is artificial intelligence data. The perfect marriage or the fusion of these two is our fundamental vision for communication to our customers. I put it that. I don't know, maybe a day will come that there is no structured content to communicate to a customer. See, the content, it has to be structured. It has to be for a wide section of people. There can be a individualistic, like, gentleman has told that, look, email can know which customer, which like, which words to start with the email. I don't know. In future, the content will be content or it will be some other name will be given to it. But the fundamental principles are ethics of an organization, ethos of an organization. That is must. This should be married with the AIML. Because even if you only think of AIML and you leave the ethics, then sorry, those organizations cannot sustain for long. So whatever advancement has been done in terms of computing capability, computer is nothing but a replication of my brain, our brain. That's hundreds of brain put together makes a computer. But then if you do not follow the principles of ethics, then that content is no content. So these two mixing, that's our fundamental principle. And communication strategies are innumerous. They go change day on day, minute by minute. And that's a very sub beyond thing in the overall strategy. That's my thing that any organization should do.
Great intakes, sir. Great inputs. Vishak, your take. How as an enabler, enabler for businesses and their strategies. What's your take on how should businesses in India, especially look into content and from a purview of ROI?
Yeah, sure. Before I jump into that, I just want to actually mention the beautiful point mentioned by Pandey sir, right? Which is the ethics aspect of it. It is super duper important, right? I mean, see, and being the founding member of the AI ethics company worldwide, Adobe is the founding member. We understand this very well, right? That is why initiatives such as content authenticity practice, meaning, we can predict and show you if it is a fake news or not with the help of AI under the ethics committee as such, right? So those kind of initiatives are actually already in place currently in the world, right? So now coming to your question about ROI, see, content strategy and content management systems have proven ROI, right? So IDC did a study about 2 years ago about is it real, right? By having a horizontal management and experience system, is there an ROI? Answer was yes, 366% in 3 years was the answer, right? So the ROI is proven. They actually surveyed over 1,200 organizations, and it is a proven number which is actually in there, right? Throughout this discussion, what was very evident was that yes, it needs to be first, it needs to be fluidic. Any media it needs to be sent to. That means it needs the management layer. Second, it needs context. Content needs to be supplemented with context. That's where insights comes in, right? So everyone has lots of data, no doubt about it, but people don't have much of insight, right? That's what everybody is demanding for, right? So drive for those particular insights with the help of AI/ML, citizen data scientists, you name it, but combine that, use that Senapati of yours to empower your king, which is content, to reap the benefits such as 300 times ROI is what I would say as the closing thought. Thank you, Satri.
Great, Vishak. I think you have just summed it up really well. That's like half of my job done, because this is exactly what we spoke about in today's session, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, on that note, we come to the end of this intriguing fireside chat. I'm sure there are we could have gone on for hours and discuss about content and the technological backend behind making content successful for businesses. But we are bound by time. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank Sri Pandey for joining us today, sir. It's a great honor to be chatting with you and to be understanding the dynamics of creating content for a large conglomerate like SBI is. And I would also like to thank Vishak. Vishak, thank you so much for your anecdotes, and thank you so much for bringing in that your experience of working with brands and dealing with content goes around. Uh, Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, gentlemen, for
Thank you
really.
very much.
Thank you very
Pleasure
much.
to be with you all. Namaskar.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we now move towards our next segment, where we are basically looking at how Adobe as an entity is basically going towards helping brands and businesses go about content creation and content management. On that note, I would like to invite Mr. Gautam Lalan, Solutions Consulting Manager at Adobe India, to speak on the significance of content management for brands and basically walk us through how can Adobe help brands and businesses feed the content beast well. So welcome, Gautam. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Satyajit. Are you able to see my screen now? Can you just confirm? Thank you. Good. So content is king, right? When we chose this title, right, I was a little bit concerned, if has this become a little cliched? So as I started thinking about this, right, we discovered that the earliest usage of this phrase came from the title of an article written by Bill Gates way back in 1996. Curious, I realized that the context of that article was quite different than how we are using it today. That article referred back to broadcasting to highlight that it was the content producers for TV and not the TV manufacturers that ruled the medium. His interest in highlighting that was, that it was not the hardware manufacturers, but the software that ran on them, which he classified as content in the context of that article, where the real money was to be made. But this phrase is such a broad application and its relevance continues in different contexts to this day. Changed wardrobes and all. Right? Marketers today are constantly demanded to do more, right? Generate more content, right? Engage more with your customers, engage on more channels, drive more engagement on those channels, more conversions, and do all of this faster than ever before, right? The primary language the marketer has to communicate with his customers is content. Now, these demands have led to a huge content explosion for them, and along with that comes a number of challenges in handling them. Based on our conversations with our customers, we see four broad challenges that present themselves to a modern day digital marketer. The first one is the evolving channels, right? Way back then, sites were pretty simple in nature, right? They were mostly static, some dynamic behavior, right? You had text and you had images, then threw in some videos, and we were then mostly concerned with browser compatibility. Right? How will it work if the customer had JavaScript on and off? And those were the real challenges, of those days. Right. And then around 2008 to 2010, as smartphones took off, we had the mobile revolution. And then the marketers had to deal with different approaches to UI design, such as responsive design and adaptive design, coming up with different content that are very specific, that render themselves very differently on different devices, for different screen sizes, and so on. And then, boy, did it all grow. First came the social media. Then we talked about native apps. Then we talked about chatbots and voice assistants, IoTs and wearables, TVs and interactive displays, and connected homes and connected cars. And this list keeps increasing by the day. Creating, managing, and publishing to so many channels in a manner tailored for that interaction at the speed demanded by their business, all while ensuring message consistency, is one real tough challenge to meet. And then the next one, the new formats. Earlier, it was only text, images, and videos, right? And then as brands needed to stand out and sustain the seemingly ever decreasing attention span of their customers, they had to come up with more innovative, interactive, and immersive media formats. We're talking about 360-degree videos today, shoppable media, 3D, voice, AR, VR, and so on. Now, these are all now essential elements in a marketer's arsenal to improve engagement and conversion. But so many formats across so many channels mean more content, more work, and more technology choices to be made. Very often we see customers struggling with this, that they take one element of their content strategy and outsource it to an external agency just for that. We have customers who have basically got a very sophisticated marketing strategy, except that they don't have the ability to create 360-degree videos of their cars or furniture, right? And hand that over to an agency for that piece alone. This creates a disjointed set, both in terms of content strategy, content processing. It in fact strongly impacts their ability to innovate and be agile. So these are, as I said, these are now essential elements in a marketer's arsenal today. And then last year, we saw a huge surge in brands, right, launching online commerce. Now that some time has lapsed, we are seeing the implications of their strategy. Some have been quite successful. Some are having a happy problem with not being able to scale with their online demands, but some are just struggling to distinguish their brands and products online. One crucial element of this last struggle is their lack of understanding the customer persona. As customers start to engage them across channels and often jumped channels during the course of a single transactions, brands realized that they needed to change their messaging and journey definitions from being product or brand-centric to become more customer-centric. Now, this means that the content presented is no longer just tailored for that particular channel or device, it is tailored for that individual. If I'm interested in a red colored shoe, then that is what I want to see every time I encounter the product, wherever that encounter may be. A great example of this is Netflix. Right? Not only are the recommendations tailored to your viewing habits, but even the thumbnail they present to promote that recommendation is tailored for you. So, for example, if they believe that that movie was recommended to you because of the actor or actresses is your favorite, then the thumbnail chosen is them. If they believe it's because of the action element, then that's the thumbnail that they chose while giving you the recommendation. If they believe that that recommendation is because of the location, the city to which you identify, then that's the thumbnail. So the movie is the same, the recommendation to that customer is the same, but the thumbnail through which they communicate that recommendation is highly contextualized. So now each movie now needs a lot more thumbnails to be generated. So all of this, along with the growing channels, evolving formats, and now the need to hyper personalize for every individual further increases the load on content creation and management. And you saw how this can, in the earlier conversation, Vaishak gave you a fantastic example of how quickly this can, explode, right? 45 products into 100,000 assets, in no time, correct? So that's the kind of growth that content marketers have to deal with today. Now, to some extent, there are a few things that are already happening in the industry that, the technology is enabling them, and one element of it is automation. We're seeing the industry take early steps in this direction. To automate more, leverage AI and ML more, and to use workflow automation tools to streamline the whole process and increase content velocity. These include seamless content flow from your content creation to your management tools, right? Auto tagging to improve content findability. Again, you heard a great example from the manufacturing use case, in the earlier conversation. Correct. AI and ML tools to create dynamic rendition and image adjustments such as cropping. And interestingly, and I think this also came up, Satyajit, you had raised this in the, in the earlier conversation about copywriting, right? We're seeing this. Adobe, in fact, has a feature that uses natural language processing to take an article and summarize it based on certain keyword limit, word limit that you provide. So we have that ability to do this, augmented by the content intelligence. It's so much amount of data that is being captured. Analytics is constantly used to optimize the content strategy, and AI and ML algorithms are used to recommend content to the customers. These are all in various stages of adoptions. Certain things like, for example, workflow automation, or auto tagging and cropping, content recommendations, etc., are more prevalently adopted in specific industries than than in a few others. But this adoption is increasing, and I think will take some load off the marketers over the next few years. But relying and waiting on AI and ML to do your job today is not really going to help. Okay. Complicating all of this for the modern day marketer, as though he didn't have enough on his hands, is the array of new technologies and interaction touch points that have cropped up and that he needs to be aware of. Earlier, he would build a page, preview it, and then worry endlessly about how it would look on so many different phones, and sizes that are there. But today, he needs to create content for channels that make it very difficult for him to preview and test. Consistency across all of these channels are more important today than ever before. But how does he ensure it? And he has to contend with new lingos and acronyms, right? Understand the difference between structured and unstructured content, single page applications, headless and headless, headed scenarios and so on. Just 5 to 8 years ago, life was not this complicated. But these are important challenges for him to take head on. We see marketers and IT teams stumble making these decisions today. They're making choices that meet some of these requirements, but doesn't help in addressing others. Correct? All of this makes a big difference because consistency. That's the number one mantra for a marketer today across so many channels. And if they do not have the proper technology platform to back that up, it will create a huge impact. At Adobe, we have been privileged to work with a number of leading brands and help them address these challenges successfully. There are a few essential elements of a modern digital foundation platform that one needs today to address the 4 challenges that we mentioned above. Ignoring these essential elements or taking shortcuts often leaves brands and marketers in a state of compromise, siloed implementations, and eventually has an impact on their customer experience and their business. The first step is handling the creation process. This requires a smooth integration with creative tools such as Photoshop and Lightroom to ease the entire content flow across the organization and across systems. It needs a proper workflow automation to take steps to streamline the content operations, and not just with the internal stakeholders, but also collaborate with external stakeholders. They are an essential element in marketing operations today, the agencies and the content creation vendors that you use. And it needs support not just to upload images and videos. That is also 1990s and 2000s, right? But today we need proper support for emerging media formats such as 3D, 360-degree videos and voice and so on and so forth, right? The second is the ability to manage all of this content, author and assemble them into brand experiences. It needs a good marketer and mobile-friendly authoring interfaces to be able to create new pages, new experiences at will, preview and publish them without needing a technical expert on hand. Agility, right? It needs support for different content types and models, structured and unstructured, right? What do I mean by this? It basically means you need the ability to create raw content, copywriting, right? And you need the ability to design experiences with wonderful UI and everything, correct? You need both. Because you need to handle not just your website and mobile apps, but the new emerging channels such as your connected cars, your voice and IoTs and wearables and so on. And finally, and this was, I think, a point that was very much that was emphasized a lot in the previous fireside chat that we just had. The ability to take all of this, put it and deliver it in a very specific context, right? And then you put all of this stuff together, right? Everything that we talked about, specific context of the journey to that specific individual, tailored for that particular device, correct? And suited for that particular channel, correct? And making this consistent regardless of which channel that I keep jumping on, correct? This and doing this at scale. You heard the numbers that the Pandey said, right? Those are not numbers to take it easily, correct? The ability to scale, right? And especially in today's world, right? Because there's so much amount of content, so much amount of data, they need to come together. As Vaishak said, they have to come together only in the last millisecond. This is not something that our traditional, infrastructures and applications can handle. This requires a modern cloud-native, interface to be systems to be able to do this. Correct. So the ability to personalize and deliver. Correct. This needs a great delivery engine. It needs to work in a hybrid model, delivering HTML and web pages and UI fragments where it makes sense, but also a strong API layer for integration with other systems. Technically, right, if you can give me that relevance, what we are saying is that the platform should natively support both headless and headed use cases, right? It should have support for APIs, GraphQL APIs, and so on and so forth, right? The ability to create structured models in the system and so on, right? And with such emphasis on agility and scale, cloud native solutions become more paramount. How can Adobe help? Adobe Experience Manager is a modern cloud native application that accelerates creation, management, and delivery of personalized experiences across any touch point. It's no longer a web content management system. This is a modern experience management and delivery platform across any touch point. From a creation perspective, it has the ability to ingest from any number of content types directly from the source, which in this case are predominantly right 80 to 90% of the work content in the world is created on Adobe Creative Cloud products. Adobe Experience Manager provides native integration with our Creative Cloud products, which means that directly from the source, you are able to consume them into the management platform. Correct. The second is the ability to manage and assemble. It helps you easily store, find, and compose varied experiences, both raw copyrighted content as well as UI elements. Correct. And finally, with intelligent personalization, combining data and content at the last minute, it has the ability to personalize and deliver channel agnostic contents, okay, to all your touch points. Aiding all this stuff is Adobe Sensei, our AI and ML framework that provides the smart content services and our cloud-managed services for you to be able to do this at scale and without losing sleep. So, 25 years on, whether it's a cup of coffee or your next cell phone, as marketers and as customers, we know that it's not about products or services. People buy experiences. That's what we do. That's what our customers are doing. And content, and as marketers, content is key to delivering rich experiences for you. And so, content is still the king. And as Adobe, we can help you in this journey to take your customer experiences to the next level. Reach us for a free customer experience maturity assessment or a tailored point of view on how you can personalize experiences for your customers at scale, or an insightful architecture assessment of your digital foundation. Thank you.
Great, Gautam. Thank you so much for these anecdotes and helping us understand how can Adobe help in help brands and businesses create that omnipresent content experiences for their consumers. I'm sure our attendees and our audience today will be gaining a lot from what you have helped us understand in how Adobe can help them. Right. So thank you, Gautam. Thanks for joining us. So, ladies and gentlemen, with this, we have come to an end of today's session. In this session today, we have really tried to decode what omnipresent content management looks like for brands, how to create that content, and how to basically look beyond content and engage with the consumer on a more personalized and hyper-local way. I'm sure there are, we can revisit this topic and discuss more about it and delve deeper. Until next time, thank you so much for joining us and stay tuned to ET Brand Equity.